I believe we're live. Just waiting for TradingView to kind of push the live chat up. There we go, up and running. Thank you all for tuning into another session of Chart Mastery with me. I'm gonna do the usual. I'm gonna cover BTC, ETH, Litecoin, the indices. I'm gonna talk about some stocks that I've highlighted last week. Talked about like Virgin Galactic, SPCE. I talked about that on Friday, and we're seeing a good up move right now. Just kind of tuning in on all the chats, get everybody going. You guys drop me a comment, let me know you're in. On TradingView on the tube, smash that like button. All right, let's dive in. So BTC, I've covered a couple of synopses of how we got here so far, right? We're seeing like a consolidation. It looks like a possible bull flag. We are seeing indices kind of slow down today based on these closes. Trend line looks intact. There's the one thing that's worrisome is there is 61.8. Where is it and where should one take a short, right? Like last time we were looking at BTC on the hourly chart, we saw a 50% bearish retracement, right? I'm going to highlight that just now. So we saw this new high, and we saw a sell-off. Then we saw a retrace of the 50%, and from there, right, we had a big sell-off down to here. We never got the 61.8, right? This is usually where I like to short things. If you get a failure here is where I short it, and I just don't have a BTC short right now. I don't know if that's fortunate or unfortunate, but in terms of the larger picture, what is going on? Is there another 61.8 we need to keep an eye on? Ideally, we want to see a move up to 63,613, right? Like that's just the most ideal setup. We talked about this wick, right? We talked about why it formed. We talked about this last Friday. I'm doing these streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so make sure you jump in, right? It's just like 30 minutes. It's free insight. I'll answer all your questions about everything I'm doing on these charts, right? So when we were selling off, you know, on Wednesday, I was highlighting some levels that we could turn around at, and the first initial one was this minor 61.8. We had this big wick here, rejection. Bulls kept it up, pushed it up to 50% right at 60K. And now we're kind of coming back down to test it, right? Will we get a test of 60,457? I don't know, but if this retracement, right, if we see some kind of smaller move right here, we're at the 50%, right? If we see like 60648 hold as support, we could see continuation up to that previous bearish 61.8 retracement. All right, it's bearish because it's going up, but it hasn't really broken out until further notice. So ideally, I want to see that bounce off 604, 606, right? And move up to 63 for further reassessment. If not, then this is just looking like another 50% bearish, right? And we don't want to see too many of those playing out because then we won't get that breakout. Now, the market does look like it's pre-breakout. I can't quite put a finger on whether it's distribution, accumulation. So I'm just like reading it play by play and seeing if we get that revisit to 63,453. All right, moving on to the next one. I'm going to cover LTC was priming for a move. You guys in Discord know I've got longs and pretty good spot position. I think it's time to see that Litecoin rally. During that sell-off, right, I talked about 184 and 176 holding as support, and if they didn't hold, then I'd expect it to go full-blown bear. But at this point, zoom out, stretch these fibs out a little bit, make sure they cover recent price action, and go from there. All I'm doing is just extending this line out so we get our price targets in real time, right? And we want to see that continuation above 194, possibly move to 212. So we get that further upwards movement. In terms of a 61.8 bearish, we're retesting it, right? Like 199, 200 is 61.8. So if bulls fail to break out here, right, it might be wise to like maybe try short, maybe down to like 144. I'm not sure if we're going to get these big down moves. I'm not positive. I can't tell you. But in terms of what happened previously, right, if we're going to assess the strength, there's a nice bullish engulfing candle here, right? Not quite a bullish engulfing, but it was a doji. That big sell-off turned out to be a doji on the daily, and then bulls decided to push it back up. Now you can zoom in and look at these daily candles. I would like to see a breakout. I would like to see one. Let's cover Ether. It's looking different, right? There is no like failed 61.8. Maybe on the smaller side there is, and we'll zoom into that shortly. But ideally, we want to see that move up to 49.67, right up here, right? That's the next Fib target. So we should see that kind of move. We're not quite seeing like parabolic moves right now. Not out of the majors, not out of BTC, not out of Ether, not out of Litecoin. We're not seeing those strong pushes, right? So eventually we want to see that strong push. We don't want this to like be a wedge that breaks down. It's just choppy. Market's a little choppy. We're not seeing those big swings, not right now. The one thing that did swing was Shiba, right? And I talked about like, hey, it's looking like it's primed for a short. Some of us got in a short. We took some profits. I'll hop into that chart shortly. I want to cover indices first before I talk about shitcoins. You guys want me to look at some charts for you? Drop them in the chat. You know, drop some in TradingView chat. Drop some in YouTube chat so I can cover them. I'm popping up the TradingView live chat. All right, you guys are pretty quiet this morning. Let's go. Let's look at ES. Indices did something interesting. I didn't highlight like, hey, we're gonna short them yet. I want to see a move to 50 or 61.8, right? And it looks like we're at the 50, not quite the 61.8 on the ES. It's gonna be like S&P futures. Let's do a 15. All right, so I want to see that move to 46.07. I do have an alert right under it. I want to see what the market does there. At that point, I might VIX or buy puts, depending if we get rejection. But these last few moves haven't been bear moves, haven't been very sustainable. But in terms of like the long-term chart, right, it's knocking out extension targets. So I wouldn't be surprised if we ran into that 2018 scenario, right? Which I've been saying like, hey, I think we're going to see a repeat of 2018. I've been saying that for couple of months now before this correction, right? And what happened in 2018 was something very similar. And I'll pull them up for a side by side, right? I think if we are bull trapping, I think we're going to see correction in both markets. And let me go ahead and pull that up. I'm just going to pull up the SPY, right? And the daily. Let's go back to 2018, right? And I think we could be in like a corrective phase on indices, right? Where we saw this original sell-off. I'm going to circle it, right? We saw the original sell-off, a pullback, and then what looked like a bullish breakout, right? And then we saw just some chop, a range develop, a breakdown for a liquidity grab, and then a move up, right? Let's go ahead and remove all indicators on this one and zoom out. All right, so it's a pretty choppy year before going up to the next target. Are we going to see that? I don't know. I mean, the AS is looking like a possibility, right? With this fib extension being wrong, I'd want to see what happens a little further, develops throughout the day before re-entering a short. Like we closed out our shorts on last week on the indices. Let's look at NQ. Vice President, thanks for the shills. Solana, Qtum, you guys are awesome, man. Thank you all for all the tickers. I'm gonna look at the NQ and then I'll hop into the requests. So I think this one's at a 61.8. It looks like it's above, so it's good. I'm gonna set alert in case we break under, just so I pay more attention. Maybe buy some puts. And it wouldn't be like shorting low, it'd just be shorting the 61.8 rejection in case it's a bigger swing down. All right, let's look at Sol. This thing's been raging, man. Solana. I'm going to pop up some fibs. I'm going to take that small range first. I think we're way beyond it, right? The chart's way beyond it. Stuck to these fibs for a while, and now it's like above the highest extension number I've ever calculated. So we're going to take the next range. Joe, man, thanks for tuning into the stream. Joe on the tube is like a childhood friend of mine. He's known me for ages, since I was like 6. All right, so we're going to, I'd likely think like 245 is the next target on Sol, right? I'm not seeing anything indicative of a bear move. I'm not seeing anything like we saw back here. And these fibs look pretty good, right? We had rejection, resistance here, support, a breakout. This one turned into support, and now we should see 245 unfold. Let's look into the hourly. Anything worrisome? I don't think that's a 61.8, but I'm just not very into this chart. It's just been too bubbly for me to play with. All right, so that's what I have for Solana, right? It does have like there's a big zone here of void, right? As in there's an extension that's far up and there's an extension that's far below. So I mean, it could be volatile in this range. I definitely like want to buy a dip on here. 94 is like a really good buy if you get that low. I'm not sure what's going to cause it to sell off just yet. It looks good. It looks intact. It looks intact. ASM USD. Pop up an extension on this range. I'm just going to kind of move that over so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm doing Alt F, right, to get my fib tool going, coming all the way down, and this looks decent in terms of the big picture, right? We had the range breakout, ranked 26 cents, right? Rejected, came back down, retested these fibs at 129. We had good support, right? And we had support come back in on this giant wick at 14 to get it up to 16. This looks sustainable. This kind of looks sustainable. I'd want to see like a revisit of 118. Let's see where the next 61.8 is. I mean, there's two of them, right? And we're right below one now. So if we close above 174, I'd want to see it continue up. And the next possible target, like taking along here at 164, T1 would be, if it was leveraged, T1 would be like at 20. And T2 would be at 25, and if it does continue to break out, then we could see like 33 cents, 37 cents, and so forth. Yes, Cooley. My fibs are on log scale. I don't really mess with it much, but if I like double click and change to log, actually I don't use them on log scale, but my chart is on log scale, right? And I haven't had any issue with that. My charts are log, my fibs are not quite. Let's look up something like the ES. Generally, it doesn't make that big of a difference. If I do that, go down, trigger to log. Let's do this. All right, so that's not log, that's log. It's just a very, very small move, and we do get wicks higher. So let's look at QDM. I'm only going to look up USD pairs on cryptos. I'm not going to look at BTC pairs unless you specifically request it. Let's look cute. If I covered your chart, smash that like button. Yeah. Encourage the algorithms to push us on both platforms. So QDM, man, this thing is taking a massive beating, right? It's recovering. It's back at like $16. I don't like this fib setup, right? It's like, it seems like very hopeless. So we're just going to go down to this previous range. Let's call it like the bear market high and bear market low. And that makes a lot more sense, right? We've got a lot more levels that the chart has interacted with very well. Like this just lines up, right? We see the 4.6 level hold twice. We saw 8.78 hold up, right? And now we're seeing 17 as resistance. Next level is going to be like 23 if this continues. Now, will we get there? What's the 61.8? Where's the rejection level? I think I can eyeball it, and I think we're almost there, right? It's at 26 actually. This could be sustainable. You know, just gonna have to see what BTC does, what ETH does, what the big ones do. All right, I covered you guys' tickers. I wanna look at some of the stock market plays we're in. Right, we got in a Ford like early in the year at $15 calls, and it looks like it wants to break out, right? It looks like it wants to push out of this mess and like maybe test 23. So the idea is now with this one, we're already in the money, right? And we're like $2.68 in the money. And we want to see this range break out, right? I'm going to change this to like a different color, like a white line, right? We want to see it get above this range, break out, and continue. At that point, like, I know they're January calls. I actually ended up buying more further out, 22 calls on this, but like January 2023, right? So let's see what this does, where this unfolds, how this continues. Zillow had an excellent move. I talked about this on stream. I had the continuation play. We got in pretty low. We got in like down here, right, with like $92 calls, and we bought $100 calls with the profits. And this looks like a retest. I'm not too worried about it. I think the liquidity move has already happened, which was that sell-off on news. It's just going to be dependent on like what indices do next, right, for a continuation. And I'm not sure why we rejected here. I had like 107, 109 as targets. 102 was a fib target. So we'll see if we get a revisit. I'm not giving up on this one yet. I mean, we've got time, and we're really close to being in the money, and it's at a 61.8 minor here. So I want to see 97 hold the support. The energy index, you know they have earnings today. Energy fuels. It's still intact. It's still holding. We still have time on these. We're still in the money. Good rejection here, right? The only option, the only concern is going to be again above the 61.8. So at this point, if we don't get a move above 842, I'm willing to part with my $7 calls, right? And they expire in like a couple of weeks. They're in the money. I'm okay with taking profit on this one if you don't get above 843 soon, like on this breakout. Mana went off last stream. Let's look at Loopring, LRC. Dude, this thing's pumping. Yeah. I don't think I was bearish on it last stream, was I? Did I give you good input last stream? This thing's pushing like new all-time high. Almost $1. This thing's popping. Can we go over Shiba? I shorted Shiba last stream. I still have a Shiba short open. Means I'm betting is coming down. I think this run is likely over. Two things happened, right? It pulled back and it retraced 61.8, and that's when I tried shorting here, and then I got stopped, and I pulled one here, and then I did an ad. Like on this breakdown, it pulled back. We did a half profit take down here, and now like I want to add short again, unless if I can get above 76.70, I'll stop shorting, right? But I do think this is probably done for now, unless like the hype cycle goes on. It's a pure like speculative shitcoin play, and I think the fib that lined up was here, right? I did say in Discord that hey, if we get a move here that rejects on high volume, right, you might want to like hedge along against the short and play both sides until we get continuation. I didn't take a long out, but we did see that move happen the first time and the second time with this massive doji, and then 63.60 held as support. So at this point, is there a minor 61.8? Like, how is this thing continuing in terms of continuation? I'm going to go ahead and fib this. It's promising. It's holding above 7055, but ideally, I think it's done. I don't know. I want to see it crash and burn. Smash that like button. Drop a ticker. So bear but neutralish. Yeah. The chart looked intact. Let me see what else I want to cover from the charts behind me. So in terms of indices, right, small caps, I've been talking about them being stuck in a range. I'm looking at TNA now, and this thing's breaking out. I do have calls in here, and I keep like extending them. This is the one index that hasn't really made a move in the last year, right? Small caps, and I want to see a small cap rotation, and I think it's ready, right? I'm not buying calls today because I'm already in calls, but it's above the 61.8 of this big old range, and I think if we do get a risk on push out of small caps like 118, 123, it could really set the Russell to go up. And this is the 3x Russell, so we're talking about like RUT or IWM. Yeah, and like RUT looks like it's breaking out today, which is good. What else? Talked about SPCE on Friday's stream, and I said, hey, like it's looking like a good value buy right now. And it is retracing, right? It's almost a target. Target on this one, target 1 is my reassessment line, which is where that alert is at 1968, 1970. And I want to see that play out. I want to see what happens here, because this could be another Zillow, right? If we can get into some of these moves and capitalize on them, on the down ones, right? Like, I got contacted by somebody saying, hey, like, what are you doing? I know you sold your calls on the S&P and the QQQ. I'm like, I'm not chasing high. I'm looking for things like Zillow that sold off, things like SPCE, things like TNA, indices that are lagging, right? That's where the opportunities are going to be. Like, the last thing I want to do is buy something at an all-time high, right? But, like, there's going to be some good value plays in here, especially for, like, speculative couple of month holds or a couple of week holds in terms of buying options and waiting for them to run. And then the following target on this, if it doesn't like break out and run and bottom out forever, is going to be 2190. All right, what else? Let's look at Tesla, because it was popping off pretty hard, and it still is. It's continuing, right? It is fucking moving. And in terms of targets, I think this next extension is a safe thing to try to play out. And it's fucking moving, all right? Let's try to find another extension level that can potentially hinder progress for Tesla. I think the next really valid one is going to be the COVID move, right? Pre-COVID, post-COVID. Yeah, it just has room to run. It has a lot of room to run, which is great for Tesla bulls. I wouldn't short Tesla, not right now. Yeah, I just see a lot of room to run here, like 1488 maybe. It'd be the next target on Tessie. Apple is still struggling to get up above that 150 mark, right? I shorted it and stopped out and then stopped shorting it. And I said when Apple gets to 150, it might decide the top on indices. And we had this like bull trap. Let's see what happens. Let's see this unfold. They had earnings come out, and how did they do? How did earnings do on Apple? 0.1. Yeah, I didn't think it would be magnificent. So, and that's kind of why this stopped shorting, is because earnings were coming up. Maybe we'll get back into an Apple short. Let's see what happens. Maybe we'll buy Apple 150 puts, or maybe like 147 puts a few weeks out, and see what the market does. What else is behind me on my tickers? Ford is really turning up. Another chart I'm invested in, right? And this is a long term. This is a January 2023 play that I have. Is Twitter, and I think this is a good level to add, and my calls should be discounted. And I'm still targeting like $100 calls, and it has a year to get up there, right? And I feel like they're discounted today for a good discount shop. Yeah, I think this sell-off's an exaggeration. I think it's just volatility before the next move up. So I'm likely going to add to Twitter today or tomorrow. While it's discounted, I'd like to do that. It's below an interaction level that I like to see, right? But I'm going to show you guys something cool. Like this 786, usually I like trading the 61.8, but the 786 holding a support. The only other time I saw something like that in recent history that played out really nicely was going back to Tesla, right? And the only place I saw that was remove drawings. I think it was this move. Yep, right. We saw a breakout happen, right? And we saw this like resistance develop, and then if we fib this breakout, it retraced 78.6 before the next really volatile move. And if we compare it to what Twitter is doing in real time, then we're seeing something very similar, right? So I'd like to add to my Twitter position. It's got time. In just a second, I do have a lunch meeting shortly. Here, time. Sorry, guys. All right, I'm back. I'm here. All right, what else? You guys want me to cover anything else? You guys want me to... Let's see what's behind me. So you guys know I have a big QuantumScape options position, and it's kind of been... you guys sold off to shit. You know, excuse my French here. But we're seeing it bounce back, right? And I do have $35 calls. I think they expire mid-November, right? So I need to start bucking down on that profit taking on these. So it's looking promising, right? Some of the automotives are moving. Some of the automotives are moving. Looking at Ford, right? And these guys have some pretty big contracts. We're seeing a big move develop. Hopefully we get a blow off, right? Like we saw this initial flag and we saw volume come in here. Then we saw it pull back, sell off. We did see 23 hold as support. So ideally, I want to see this chart get back above 34, 38, and then like start retracing back up a little further. And this was a nice shop because, I mean, I bought these calls and they were expensive and I just kept averaging down and selling on high days. And I think if we break above 34, we can enjoy a profit take of 48 and then call it a day and just pull out completely. What other value plays am I seeing? Keep an eye on some of the Chinese stocks, right? We did have a savage sell-off, like looking at TME, Tencent Music, and I did add to my Tencent, didn't signal it, but I did add to it. It does look like it kind of wants to bottom, and I'm giving it some time. Like I have December 850s and I have December $9 calls, and this needs to get above 939, and then we could see a little bit of a reversal play out. And yeah, this looks like another value shop, right? I don't think Tencent's going away. They did get like slapped on the wrist by the Chinese, and we had the BABA thing and the Chinese tech, and yeah, it just seems like a good opportunity to come in on something that's not on overbought premium, right? Not high premium. If you guys don't have any more tickers for me, please smash that like button on whichever platform you are using, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. My next stream is going to be on Wednesday, same time, same place. I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I might even bump it up to like every day. Let's see how Wednesday goes. You guys trade safe. I think I covered everything I wanted to, or you guys wanted me to. And any more questions, just hop into Discord, ask us for a guest pass, and yeah, we're available there like 24/7.